Have you ever just finished explaining all of the things you're going to do for a customer and they look at you and say, wow, that sure seems expensive. What if the problem isn't your price? What if it's just that they can't see the value, at least not yet? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to Pest Profits, where we talk about how pest control operators can make more money, think like professionals, stop competing on cheap. All right. So in our last episode, we had talked about diagnosing pricing objections. Today, I want to go another stage kind of deeper, but because basically sometimes people push back on price for a really simple reason, and that is they just don't understand or can't see the value. And the truth is that especially for pest control, a lot of what we do for them is invisible. There's no way for them to see it. They can't see the product. They don't see it in the tank. They don't see it once it's sprayed on the side of their house. And so customers begin to think in their head, what am I really buying here? Right? Is it something else that I'm really buying? Right? And so let's break that down a little bit. Here's what happens to us, at least in the pest control industry, right? You explain everything you're going to do for them in a service. You're going to treat the base of the house. You're going to treat the edges of the concrete. You're going to treat the perimeter of the fence line. You're going to apply these products in a safe way. You're going to prevent pests from entering their home. You go through all of the things that you're going to do for this customer. The customer looks at you and says, well, sure seems expensive, right? I know a guy that does it for X, Y, Z. And a lot of technicians just walk away and think to themselves, well, obviously, all anybody cares about is who's the cheapest. But that might not actually be the issue, right? The issue might be that they simply don't quite understand what they're buying. And so, listen, pest control is not just about getting rid of bugs. That is the end result, but that's not all there is to pest control. There's a preventative aspect, which isn't getting rid of bugs, it's preventing them from ever showing up, right? There's also the damage aspect. Rats cause a lot of damage. Termites obviously can cause damage. There's a lot of other types of pests that can cause a lot of damage too. So it's a damage control as well. But most of those things, you can't see them. At least you can't see them until they're too big a problem to ignore. So what happens with people with German roaches all the time, right? They get one roach inside. They don't know that they have a roach inside. By the time that they realize that they have roaches inside, they have a really serious problem. And so listen, value that only exists in your head as the technician or as the operator, as the sales person, value that only exists in your head is not going to help your customer make the best decision for them. So you've got to figure out a way to make that value visible to them. Peter Drucker, most people know who Peter Drucker is. He was one of the most famous management consultants probably in history. He wrote a book called Management, Tasks, Responsibilities, and Practices. In that book he says this: the customer never buys a product. By definition, the customer buys the satisfaction of a want. Customers are not buying pesticide from me. They're not buying what's on my truck. I tell people this all the time: you're not buying what's in the back of my truck. They're buying something a lot more simple. And here's what they're buying. They're buying the peace of mind that comes from working with me. They're buying the confidence of having someone who knows what they're doing take care of their problem for them, right? Because most homeowners probably don't realize this. Pest control might feel like a convenience to you, but at some point in your life as a homeowner, you're going to need a pest control professional. I don't know very many people that make it through their entire home ownership. Well, actually, you've probably seen the houses of people who make it through their entire home ownership without any need for a professional pest control provider, right? Their house looks like they've never touched it. Right? But most people, especially if you care about your house, you're not going to make it through your entire home ownership without ever one time needing somebody like me who knows what they're doing. And so, you at some point are desperately going to need somebody who really understands how to solve a pest problem, whether that is rats, whether that is termites, whatever that is. You're going to need somebody like me that really understands how to do it, because every homeowner eventually meets somebody in the pest control industry Sometimes they meet that person before they need them. Sometimes they meet them when they need them, but you're going to meet them at some point, right? So the question is going to be whether the person that you meet is going to be the right person. Is it going to be somebody who actually knows what they're doing? Or are you, in a bit of panic, going to end up having to purchase from somebody who is convenient because they are there and not necessarily the right person for the job? Right? So that kind of leads to the next issue. Because a lot of pest control work is invisible, right? We as pest control providers, it's our job to help our customers to see our value. Rory Sutherland, who is the vice chairman of a big advertising firm called Ogilvy, he's also the author of a book called Alchemy, the Dark Art and Curious Science of Creating Magic in Brands, Business, and Life. He said this: the problem with logic is that it kills magic. Right? So listen, none of your customers are purely making their decision logically. They are making them emotionally as well. And so they tend to justify their emotional decisions to themselves afterwards logically. Right? And so here's the emotional truth about pest control, right? That customer needs to be able to trust you. You need to be, when you're walking through their house with them, when you are inspecting the problem with them, that is your opportunity to connect with them on an emotional level and help them to build confidence in you and to trust you. That's your opportunity. They won't be able to see the product that you spray on the side of their house. They're going to have to trust that you are doing what you said you were going to do. And so you've got to connect with them on an emotional level at some point. Most of them won't even see, if you get reoccurring customers, most of them will not even see the treatment happening. Even if they have cameras, we're so low on the totem pole as pest control providers, they don't look at their cameras most of the time to see whether we're doing what we say we're doing until they actually have a problem. Right? And so what they are buying from us is trust. They want to purchase somebody they can trust, a company they can trust. That's what they want. So what I'm really offering a customer is I'm offering them my integrity. That I am going to sell you my integrity. I will live up to the standard that I am telling you I will live up to. I will do the things that I tell you that I'm going to do. I'm going to show up when I say I'm going to show up. I'm going to apply the products that I tell you I'm going to apply. I'm going to do the treatment in the way that I tell you I'm going to do the treatment. I'm going to do the work exactly as we talked about. I'm going to do it just like I would do it for my own house. Because the truth is, in our industry, especially as in the pest control industry, if a technician thinks he can get away with cutting corners, very often, well, let me rephrase that. If a technician believes he can get away with cutting corners, there are many technicians who will. I won't say a majority of them will, because I have no scientific basis for this, but I've been a manager and I know guys who were cutting corners. You know who they are too. A guy that could go out and do 32 stops in 8 hours. You're going to tell me that guy wasn't cutting corners? You and I both know he was cutting corners. How do I know that? Because when I was running 20 stops, I was having to decide how I could best accomplish this task for the cause of the company. Right? My bosses look at me and tell me, you're going to do 20 stops, you're going to do 22 stops, you're going to do 28 stops. Right? Today, right, I had to figure out how I could best do that without completely compromising my integrity. And it's one of the reasons that I started my own company, was exactly that. Right? And so listen, I've seen what happens when the wrong person is hired for the job. Right? Let me give you an example. I do work for a lot of different property management companies. I did work for a property management company at one point in time, and they had a rodent problem. It was an old house in the downtown area where I'm at. I'm in Southern California, and so it was in a downtown area. It was an older house with a crawl space underneath it, right, with a sub area. And they were having a rodent problem. And so I went out and did an inspection. I explained to them, here's the exclusion work that needs to take place. You need to also do a trapping program in order to get rid of the rats that are in the sub area. The property management company presented that obviously to the homeowner. The homeowner said, no, I've got my own guy. So he sent out his own guy. If you've been in pest control for very long, especially if you've done this on your own, well, if you've done plumbing, you've done HVAC, you know this feeling too, right? I got my own guy. Well, he sent out his own guy. Well, his own guy went out there and threw tracking powder underneath in the sub area. Well, here's the other little piece of the story, because I do more than just pest control right on your house when I'm inspecting it. I'm looking for a lot of other things too. I had told them, listen, you also have a plumbing leak under there that it's causing a problem. Eventually it's going to compromise your foundation wall if you're not careful. So you guys should probably have that looked at as well. Well, he threw tracking powder underneath the house. Well, if you know anything about tracking powder, when tracking powder gets wet, it smells like rotten eggs. And it produces a toxic gas. It probably won't kill you. I mean, if you breathed enough of it, I'm sure it would kill you, but in most open air environments, now you're not gonna breathe enough of it to kill you, but it could make you sick. And so a few weeks after that guy had come out and did the exclusion work and put tracking powder underneath the house, the tenant started to smell rotten eggs in the house. Couldn't figure out what was the problem. Why am I smelling this? And reported it to the property management company, and the property management company called you know who, right? The person they could trust. And so I went back out and I talked with the tenant, and I said, well, like, explain to me what happened. He says, well, you know, they did this, that, the other, and then the guy came in with a bag of powder and went down in the sub area. And I said, oh, that's tracking powder. I know exactly what's going on here. And so they ended up paying me to go in and neutralize the product that they had put down. Well, rats had died, because that's what tracking powder does. It kills rats. It is an effective product if it's properly used. Rats had died under the sub area, but they died in areas that I couldn't access them, and so I couldn't pull the rats out from underneath the unit either. So now, on top of the rotten egg smell, they also have the smell of rotting rodents underneath their house. Obviously, this caused the tenant a lot of distress and caused the property management company a lot of distress too, right? And so, listen, what that tells you, right, is don't compromise your integrity. Don't lower yourself, right? Stick to your value. You're selling them your integrity, so don't sell your integrity to somebody cheap, right? I promise you this. I promise you that homeowner ended up spending more money on that project than he would have paid me. In fact, I got a call about a year afterwards, because some of the exclusion work had been compromised as well, because it wasn't done properly, because it wasn't done by somebody who, right, does this for a living. If you've done this kind of work, you know, right? It's the same thing as in plumbing, right? You know, when you look at a pipe that, hey, I don't know who put that in there, but it sure wasn't a plumber. If it was a plumber, it wasn't a good one. And so, listen, that's what happens when somebody doesn't understand the value of doing the job properly, and doesn't understand the value that you are proposing to them to do that job properly, right? Listen, if this is helping you rethink how you present your service to customers, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with somebody that you feel like it would help, because you know, and I know, especially in the pest control industry, probably in your industry as well if you're in the service industry, we need more professionals and fewer technicians who are competing on cheap, right? All right, so let's get back to it. So, listen, one of the best ways as technicians that we can show our value, that you can show your value, is through your confidence, right? When you present the solution to your customer's problem with confidence, you are showing them value. You are showing them, listen, I am somebody that you can trust. Right? That customer can feel it. You can feel it when you're dealing with somebody who has confidence in what they're doing. If you've ever had a plumber come out to your house, you know the difference between a plumber who's looking at it and going, well, I think we could probably, versus a guy that's like, oh yeah, I've seen this 1,000 times. We just need to do this, go like that, you know, and we can take care of this tomorrow. Right? There's a big difference between those two guys. And that's how you show your customer value. They can't see the product in the tank. They can't see when you've sprayed it on the side of the house. You know what they can see? They can see the confidence in the way that you present yourself. And so that confidence is very important. Confidence means doing exactly what you said you would do, right? At the price that you said that you'd do it for, and then taking the time afterward to talk with the customer as well and explain to them exactly what you've done, exactly what they can expect, right? when you take that time afterwards to explain exactly what's been done, exactly what they can expect, that is huge, man. So many guys, especially in our industry, they get done, they just want to walk up to the door, knock on the door, tell the customer, I'm done, I'm out of here, man, off to the next job, right? Go make another dollar or go home or whatever it might be. But what you're doing when you go back to that door and you tell them, hey, so listen, I just wanted to explain to you what I've done. I want to tell you what you can expect over the next week, 2 weeks, whatever it might be, right, depending on what you're treating for. You shake hands with them. You let them know what you've done for them. And right before you move on to that next job, that conversation is building trust with them, which is building value with them, right? So it's an important thing. Here's another piece that I think a lot of technicians miss as well, which is just simply listening, right? Daniel Pink is an author and researcher. He basically does research on human motivation. He wrote a book called To Sell is Human. Here's what he says in that book. Clarity beats persuasion. You don't need to pressure your customers. I'm not good at pressuring people. It's not my thing. Some salesmen are really good at it, and some salesmen, I think in some cases salesmen, it's not that they're pressuring, they just have that confidence, right? But I'm just not good at that side of it, right? But you don't need that to help people see clearly what the best move for them is, what the best solution to their problem is. Sometimes all it means is just listening to what the customer is telling you. When a customer points out, hey, I've seen stuff here and spray here, right? A lot of times let me speak for myself. I take it personally, right? Like I don't know how to do my job. Like, hey, go in the house and I'll do this, right? But that's your opportunity to build value, to treat that spot, right? Because what they're telling you is, yeah, I get it. You know that has nothing to do with solving their problem. But what you're doing is you're showing them that, listen, I care and I'm listening to you and I care about the problem that you're having and I'm going to do this. And everything else that you do may be what actually solves the problem. But what you did that built value with that customer was treating that spot they pointed at, right? That, I don't know whether you realize how important that is, but I hope that you do, right? What that customer is telling you is this: if you want me to feel comfortable with you, if you want me to feel like you are providing me with value, then pay attention to what I'm asking you to pay attention to. That's what the customer is saying to you. So those concerns really do matter, because solving the problem is not enough. The customer also needs to feel like you're hearing what they're saying to you, right? So listen, if you want your customers to see your value, then present the solutions with confidence. Secondly, right, do exactly what you say you will do. And number 3, take time to explain afterwards what you have done and to address any further concerns that they may have. What you're doing is you're showing them confidence, you're presenting your integrity, your ability to communicate with them, and those 3 things make your invisible work visible to your customer, right? Because, again, customers don't buy pest control. What they're buying is they're buying peace of mind. And the peace of mind is knowing that they hired the right person. That is worth more than the cheapest option is, right? Because when you choose the cheapest option, what happens? It sits in the back of your head. Did I choose the right guy? Even if the guy is doing just as good a job as I would do, if he is $20 cheaper than I am and he's doing just as good a job as I'm doing, you know what the customer is thinking in the back of their head? Yeah, but did I hire the right guy? Why would he be willing to do it for cheaper than that guy was willing to do it for? Right? That sits in the back of their mind. And so they're buying they're not buying the elimination of their bugs. They're buying the peace of mind of knowing that you will do what you said you would do. Now, that is really what they're buying. So listen, if this episode has helped you, then like the video, share it with another pest control guy or service industry professional. Subscribe to Pest Profits, right? Obviously, this is for the service industry as a whole. I niche it down to pest control because that's my thing. And listen, in the next episode, we're going to talk about what if you're discounting things for the wrong reason. How can you protect your profit without sounding like an a-hole, right? So listen, sometimes the biggest problem in pricing is not the customer. It's our reaction to the way the customers present themselves. So I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for being with me.